A tragic thing, however, occurs shortly after the creation. You have the fall. You have the snake in the garden. You have Eve and the apple, as many people say. No mention of the fruit actually in the text. And a tragedy happens. And if you go to Genesis 1:27, talks about human beings in the image of God. And then you go to Genesis 6, verse 5, and it says about humanity there, all the thoughts and actions are simply evil all the time. What a contrast. Image of God, evil all the time. What went wrong there? The root of sin from Genesis story clearly is broken relationships. Broken relationship is where everything goes wrong. Broken relationship is what sin is all about. Later on, we talk about restoring human beings who have sinned. It's all about relationship. It's not just about rules and regulations and so on, but it's a relationship that is the key. If you're in relationship to God, all is good. If you're not in relationship to God, things are going to head downhill fast. So relationship is the root. And if you go to page 18 in the reading for this section, and here I have a copy of that, on page 18, you will notice that near the bottom on the right is another illustration. I'd like you to look at that while I'm talking to you here. So go ahead and get that, and then we'll continue. There you see the consequences of sin. On the one side, the relationship with God and human beings was distorted by fear. Human beings became afraid of God. They wanted to hide from Him. And obviously, hiding is not helpful in the process of relationship. The relationship with each other was disturbed by the fight that they had. Adam and Eve began blaming each other, began arguing almost as soon as sin took place. And so you see that the relationship between Adam and Eve was broken by sin and became distorted by lies and arguing and anger and so on. And then the creation itself began to decay. Flowers began to decay, weeds, etc., entered in. As you see on the other side of the model there, you have thorns, weeds, thistles getting in the way of the rulership or the stewardship that Adam and Eve had over the natural world. There's pain in childbirth that comes in, and it hinders the command of God to multiply and fulfill the earth. It becomes a more difficult process, just as the farming is more difficult. And then there's exile from the garden, in which God stays inside the garden. Adam and Eve are outside the garden, and between them is the angel with the flashing sword. So all of this is a story that beautifully illustrates, well, maybe beautiful isn't the right word, but it illustrates certainly the tragedy that occurs on account of sin.